Bro, you know how long it took me? I'm on the 60th floor. Do you know how many elevators I had to let pass? Because every time one come down, there's a single woman on it. I'm not getting on the elevator with a single woman.
No?
Hell no. At no point, no sir.
Uncle, you living different.
Ocho, bro, when they try to put that tag on you, bro.
Right.
Hey, I'm a double X. They tried to put a large jacket on me. I can't wear that size. So I don't let, if a female server comes to my room,
right,
I get the table at the door. You're not coming to my room.
Right.
The two biggest fears of being a man. One, getting kicked in the nuts. Two, being falsely accused. Because remember, gentlemen, whenever the devil sees you winning and striving in life, he will send a girl your way.
Meanwhile,
I'm not a lawyer, but Shannon Sharpe is being sued for $50 million in a lawsuit that accuses him of a number of things. And I read the 14-page complaint, so let me tell you exactly what Jane Doe is alleging Shannon Sharpe did. Now, the lawsuit was filed by attorney Tony Busby, who we know well, on behalf of his Jane Doe client. The suit says that Jane Doe met Shannon Sharpe at a gym in LA in early 2023 when she was 19 and Shannon Sharpe was in his 50s. Sharpe aggressively pursued her and she eventually gave him her number. But before the two of them even hang out, he apparently tries to get her to sign an NDA. She refuses to sign it, so he eventually stopped asking and invited her over. Jane Doe agrees to go over, and according to the complaint, the very first night was disturbing and unsettling. The suit says he opens the door and without saying a word, just walks upstairs. She follows him, he goes into his bedroom, and then points at the bed. He goes to the bathroom and then comes out, cuts out the lights, and then lays in the bed. Jane Doe says she didn't know what to do, so she just lays in the bed with him, and then the two of them lay there for 10 minutes silently. And then after those 10 minutes, things started happening. The suit claims that at one point, Jane Doe realized that Shannon Sharpe was recording their encounter without her knowledge or her consent. And then the following day, Jane Doe comes back to Shannon Sharpe's house, but she gets there about 5 minutes after the time he told her to arrive. And so she says when she gets inside, he begins yelling at her, accusing her of disrespecting him and wasting his time. He then allegedly grabs her by her neck and then begins engaging with her. But this time he apparently tells her that he's going to end her life.
Now, I've watched Shannon Sharpe throughout my whole entire life. When he was on Undisputed with Skip Bayless, ESPN, Nightcap. And what I can say and strongly believe that these allegations is very uncharacteristic of him. It's just another Kareem Gobbler out trying to suck this man up and all of his resources. Now, Shannon Sharpe responds with this statement from his lawyer. Now, here are all the receipts. I want you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me with it while you're effing me. Gabriela Zanega in a text message to Shannon Sharpe, October 7, 2023. I know you missed this big, juicy $25K for each cheek. Gabriela Zanega in a text message to Shannon Sharpe, January 1st, 2025. This lawsuit filed by Gabriela Zanega and orchestrated by her attorney, Tony Busby, is blatant and cynical attempt to shake down Mr. Sharpe for millions of dollars. It is filled with lies, distortions, and misrepresentation, and it will not succeed. Look, trying to get the check, dog collars around the neck, receipts on deck, it don't matter. Lakers in 5.
It don't matter. Divorce court, child support, Lou Dort. Lakers in 5. The Thunder, a Boost Mobile bundle, WWE Royal Rumble. Lakers in 5.
Now, to proceed with Mr. Sharpe's lawyer's statement, he says, in her effort to extract a large financial settlement, Ms. Zuniga presented Mr. Sharpe with a secretly recorded video of a consensual sexual encounter. We believe the video was heavily edited and taken entirely out of context, crafted to falsely portray a consensual act as non-consensual. Ms. Zuniga has refused to provide a copy of the full unedited version of the recording to Mr. Sharpe's legal team. To set the record straight, we are releasing several of Ms. Zuniga's own explicit text message to Mr. Sharpe that clearly indicates the nature of their relationship was consensual and sexual in nature, and in many cases initiated by her own specific and graphic requests. Contrary to the allegations she makes in her lawsuits, consensual sex continued until January 2, 2025, the day after she asked for $25,000 per cheek, as quoted above from her text message to Mr. Sharpe. There are other examples of text message from Miss Zuniga. For example, now it's gonna get juicy, boys. Only if you put that gravy in me, then I can do whatever I want to me. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharpe, November 2023. I want to put my tongue in your a-hole and then marry you. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharpe, January 12th. That's my daddy. F, I want to put that big black baby in me. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharpe, August 6th. You better crave it, because you're going to be stuck with it for life after you put a big black baby in me. Text from Gabrielle Zuniga to Shannon Sharpe, August 11, 2024. These messages are a sampling of a broader pattern of graphic sexual communications initiated by Ms. Zuniga. These evidence paints a clear picture that this was a consensual adult relationship that included role-playing, sexual language, and false and fantasy scenarios explicitly requested by Ms. Zuniga. Baby gravy. Big black baby. This lady is crazy. Lakers in 5.
OKC, KFC, UFC, Lakers in 5. Houston Rockets. I don't care nothing about no light socket, a court docket, or my empty pockets. Lakers in 5. You could say SGA, PGA, USA. Lakers in 5.
Now, continuing this statement, the edited tape that Ms. Zuniga secretly taped and showed to Mr. Sharpe during her blackmail attempt tries to falsely portray as a result of editing and out of context from prior text messages that the sexual activity was not consensual. But Mr. Sharpe now believes her secret taping was all part of her plan to set up as a part of her blackmail scheme, as distorted by her edited tape, a copy of which she refused to mark available to Mr. Sharpe or his counsel. Dog collars around the neck, sexy text, she ain't getting a check, Lakers in 5.
Phoenix Sun, Capri Sun, Mohegan Sun, the sun about to set. It Lakers in 5. CP3, C3PO, it doesn't matter. Star Wars and Luke Skywalker.
That's who he is.
Lakers in 5.
AAA, NWA, I don't care what Shannon has to say. Lakers ain't winning in 5. Damn it, I got it memorized.
Now, for the last part of the statement, Mr. Sharpe categorically denies all allegations of the coercion or misconduct, especially the gross lie of grape, and will not submit to what he sees as an egregious attempt at blackmail. He stands firmly by the truth and is prepared to fight these false claims vigorously in court. He looks forward to the vindication through due process and judgment based on facts and the law. Jane Doe, mango, 25K a cheek, no bueno, Lakers in 5.
Houston Rockets. I don't care nothing about no light socket, a court docket, or my empty pockets. Lakers in 5. You could say SGA, PGA, USA. Lakers in 5.
Dog collar, she ain't getting a single dollar. LeBron's a baller, Lakers in 5.
Doesn't matter. Chris Paul, Cliff Paul, Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Lakers in 5. You can have Harden, you can have a pardon, you can get a garden. Lakers in 5. Serge Ibaka, Chewbacca, Waka Flocka. Lakers in 5. White side, backside, sunny side. Lakers in 5.
Now, all jokes aside, thank God that Shannon Sharpe had all the proofs and the receipts. Because can you guys imagine if he didn't? You know, I hate it when the actual victim, like Shannon Sharpe, gets all the damages, gets his name, his whole representation tarnished, while the victim barely walks away with any damages on her career or life. And isn't it funny how all these allegations comes falling out of nowhere from the skies right after Shannon Sharpe just signed a $100 million contract?
I just
find it so funny that somebody who's just about to sign a $100 million contract, these allegations come out of nowhere to try to take a piece of the pie. That is disgusting and that is sick. So in case y'all don't know, Shannon Sharpe is being sued for allegedly gaping a woman on multiple occasions. And I find this hard to believe. In case y'all don't know, Shannon Sharpe purposely doesn't get into elevators with females by himself just to make sure they can't try to spread any allegations. Babe, grapes, Planet of the Apes, Shannon Sharpe's gonna win this in 5. So when Shannon Sharpe wins the case, what happens to the woman that puts on these false allegations? Does she get any repercussions? Because this is not fair. The fact that a story like this is even out there, you're gonna have people looking at Shannon Sharpe differently, even though, from my opinion and what I think happened, he did nothing wrong. When it's all said and done, and when Shannon Sharpe wins the case, I hope that he countersues because this is unacceptable. From what he's done on Fox Sports to what he's done with Club Shay Shay, this is someone I highly respect, and this is someone that I follow in his footsteps because he's a great role model for people that are trying to make it in the media world. But please, women, stop putting out false allegations because it doesn't help anybody, and it just makes you look worse.
You know, this whole fiasco just kind of reminds me of the Amber Heard and Johnny Depp situation. Just another cream gobbler out to put dirt on a man's name, take half of his assets and his resources, which he worked his whole life for. It's completely BS.
When we saw Amber Heard lie in court and cry and put on a dramatic performance, it gave many men flashbacks to exactly what their ex did.
I don't know how relevant all of this is to me being a great mother.
You don't know how relevant it is using illegal drugs while you're pregnant?
Anytime somebody's going to make up false claims about you, you can almost guarantee that in their testimony in court, they're going to give a sob story. It's a story that has worked with their family, with their friends, but you have the ability to stop it in a courtroom setting. By the time we were at this point in the deposition, we had already proven that she was willing to lie about affairs, her business, drug use while pregnant, drug use while watching the kids, and drug use while operating vehicles. Any judge, any jury that sees this is going to see it as an act of manipulation and something that is quite honestly disturbing.
You don't know whether you're traumatizing these children when you hit and yell at them, do you? Whether you're putting other people's lives at risk.
A very wise man once said, "Trust not a woman when she weeps, for it is her nature to weep when she wants her will." Now, this situation reminds me of the time where I had a friend who was an absolute football star at a Division I school. And then he messed with the wrong girl, he was falsely accused, and as a result, he lost his scholarship, his spot on the team, and his shot at potentially making it to the NFL. He was publicly shamed and ostracized. Now, over a year later, the case finally went to trial, and he was immediately found innocent. And the crazy thing is, there was no consequences for the girl who accused him. Meanwhile, his whole life was already tarnished and destroyed. And this next clip kind of reminds me of this situation. Take a look.
I did not know nothing about sex, so.
You're watching never-before-aired video of Juanetta Gibson and Brian Banks in the minutes before her stunning confession that she lied when she said the high school football star 10 years ago.
This camera right here was in a plant.
This is the man who helped Banks get the now famous confession on hidden camera. Private investigator Freddie Parrish.
There's only one chance to get the goods. I mean, you got to make it right the first time.
Parrish's son played football with Brian Banks at Long Beach Polytechnic High in 2002, the time Juanetta Gibson made her false rape accusation. Gibson's family got $1.5 million settlement from the school district, and Banks got 5 years in prison and 5 more on parole, shackled with an ankle monitor.
So I know I'm not behind bars, and I know I'm not locked up right now, but I'm still very much incarcerated.
Then last year, Brian Banks got a Facebook friend request from Juanetta Gibson.
Mr. Banks called my son, Freddie, and asked him, what should I do? My son naturally says, hey, you got to call my dad. He'll help you with this. Once I was able to read the case, there was no doubt in my mind that this young man was innocent.
Parrish devised a plan to clear Brian Banks' name. He wired his office.
We had a pin like this
with hidden cameras
sitting in this pin holder.
And with microphones.
We had put the audio device in that tree right there behind him.
The private eye suggested Banks first invite Gibson to his office for a friendly chat about their past.
All the scholarships, everything.
Brian Banks asks Gibson for help in clearing his name.
I will go through with helping you,
but she's afraid of losing all that money from her settlement.
All that money they gave us, gave me, I don't want to have to pay it back, all that, because that will take a long time.
Now comes the hard part. Banks had to convince Gibson to come back the next day and talk to the private eye who was helping free him.
I needed to get her to basically recant everything that she said that Brian did 10 years ago. If I let this man down, I would have to live with that the rest of my life.
The mood in the room was light, but Investigator Parrish's questioning got heavy.
When did you lose religion? Was it after him, before him? After.
Now the big question.
Did he rape you? No, he did not rape you. Did he kidnap you? No.
When she said those things, what did you say to yourself?
Wow, I got it.
It was the key evidence that Banks' lawyers from the California Innocence Project needed to go back to court, and that undercover video got Brian's conviction thrown out. Banks' lawyer, Justin Brooks.
Well, the videotape is a slam dunk in the sense that she's recanting her testimony. She's specifically saying that he did not rape her.
Parrish has had big celebrity cases and well-known clients, but this assignment had a different kind of payoff.
No, I had an opportunity to make a difference in a man's life.
And finally, what about Juanetta Gibson, who got all that settlement money after making a false accusation? We asked the DA's office and the school district if they plan to try and recover it. They wouldn't comment. But Banks' lawyer and private eye say most of that $1.5 million settlement has probably been spent.
You know, in fact, Joel, a lot of the neighbors and even some friends have come forward saying that money was spent left and right, and on a lot of things, including cars, a lot of cars.
It is thought that she's gone through, or her family has gone through most of that money. In fact, when she showed up for that meeting, she took a bus, didn't even have a car to drive.
28-year-old Atlanta Falcon linebacker rookie Brian Banks is one step closer to making his dream a reality after taking to the gridiron against the Cincinnati Bengals this week.
Nice job getting off a block and making a play.
It's still one of those situations where, like, you know, it happened, but like now it's just replaying in my head.
But this is no ordinary rookie. Banks joined the Falcons after spending 5 years in jail and 5 on parole. Why? He was wrongly convicted of a high school classmate. In May 2012, justice was served. The verdict for Banks overturned. The new ruling, not guilty.
The people's motion to dismiss this case pursuant to Section 1385.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Petition is granted.
The end of Brian Banks' ordeal was marked by tears after a judge threw out the charge that had sent him to prison for more than 5 years.
My only dream in the world was to just be free and to have the same opportunity as everybody here.
He was a 16-year-old star linebacker with a full-ride scholarship to USC and a dream to play in the NFL, when in 2002, a classmate accused Banks of in the stairwell of their Long Beach high school. Although Banks insisted it was consensual and there was no sex, he told KCBS TV that his defense attorney at the time gave him a choice: plead no contest or risk a trial that could send him to prison for life.
When you go into that courtroom, the jury is going to see a big black teenager and you're automatically going to be assumed guilty. Those are her exact words.
He took the deal, went to prison, and had to register as a sex offender. He thought that was the end of it. But after he was released, came a surprise. A friend request on Facebook from his accuser, Juanetta Gibson.
I remember closing the laptop just like real quick and just like thinking, like, what did I just see?
So Banks arranged a meeting with a private investigator who videotaped the whole thing.
Did he rape you? No, he did not rape you.
Gibson later explained she hadn't wanted to say that publicly for fear of losing a $1.5 million settlement that her family had gotten after suing the school district.
I may not ever get the answers as to why I was supposed to go through what I went through, but I know that I'm here today and I remain unbroken.
Unbroken and working to get his life back on track. Those dreams of playing in the NFL, he says, might be realized yet. Lee Cowan, CBS News, Los Angeles.
One thing I will never understand is that how these false accusations, these accusers, walk away with absolutely no punishment. You know, there should be a law that any false accusations should be a mandatory 5-year prison sentence. And any woman who makes up these false accusations should be registered as a false accuser in the National Registry. You see, feminists are the real problem here. Oh, I don't need a man, but you're out to make false accusations, take half of a man's assets and resources. Gentlemen, this is why it's so important to think with your big head and not your little head, and always provide proof and receipts, because it can save your life one day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.